Caitlin, you ready?
Caitlin.
Caitlin, you ready for Kate? Sorry, go ahead, Ray. Ray, you have the con.
Hit the music, Caitlin. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We hope it is good. Welcome to another edition of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carsillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Doing my best for the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing today?
Ray, I'm going to start this one off with a little bit of a shocker here. As you know, we write a rundown every week with all the topics we want to talk about, both in geekdom and sportsdom.
Yes.
And I am looking at that rundown now for our very loyal listeners.
Yes.
And I've noticed that something is missing. And I'm going to start with the non-sponsor of the week. And I would like you to tell the people at home who the non-sponsor of the week is, Ray, because this was something that I did my part. I did my part, Ray. For those of you listening at home,
it's Ghostbusters Frozen Empire trash can.
First it's a popcorn bucket, which is now.
Oh, that's one heck of a bucket. That's a metal bucket.
This week's non-sponsor is just Ghostbusters.
Oh,
now, Ray, listen. You're at home. You have a full Ghostbusters costume, but it wouldn't be complete if I didn't bring some props to the show. And you can explain to everybody what I'm doing right now.
Well, Lee, it sounds like you have a free-form floating vapor in there with you in the studio in Philly, and you are busting it, my friend.
Best sound in the show. I would like to thank my brother Alan for getting me a proton pack, or a proton accelerator, now known as a neutrino wand, so I can do things like that to my children when they're sleeping. Can you hear that, Ray?
Yes, I can. Nothing like having an unlicensed nuclear reactor strapped to your back.
And that should satisfy the geekdom for most of the people listening this week. Oh, let me turn it off all the way.
We've got a lot of geek stuff to talk about later on, but yeah, I wasn't sure. We haven't touched base because I did not do my part.
I didn't say it. I know
It was a very busy week for wrestling.
We'll get to that. We will. To that. It's on the rundown. Listen, Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire, fantastic film.
Yes.
You said it perfectly. Everyone's saying it correctly. If you love Ghostbusters, you'll love this Ghostbusters film.
Right.
I don't understand any of the negative stuff.
Yeah.
I did notice the trailer kind of threw us off a little bit with some of the clips, which is great.
Yes.
The story was fantastic.
Yep.
And I love this is spoiler if you haven't seen it. But long story short, the villain's great, but the fact that they release all of the old ghosts back into the world, thus needing franchise Ghostbusters all over the country, which is what they're probably going to do.
Yes.
Ghostbusters alive and well, franchised perfectly. Fantastic film. I really thought it was fun. I enjoyed it. I was never bored.
No.
Right? The callbacks were fantastic. The nostalgia was fantastic. The original 3 Ghostbusters were fantastic.
Yes.
Bacon was written in perfectly. Just a little bit's all you need. You don't need a lot.
Yep.
It was well done.
Yeah, no, look, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. I think that's
fair.
Yeah, I think the only things were at times the cast is a bit large. It's sometimes a little hard to follow all the different characters. Because you have there you go. There's the new big bad. And even that, but like a lot of folks were complaining and like, well, the big bad's only in the movie for like, again, spoiler for like the end of the film.
It's not true though. That's not true. That's not how it works. I mean, every Ghostbusters film is like that.
But that's the thing. It's classic Ghostbusters buildup, where the big bad ghost can't really form until other things happen,
right.
And it is that slow buildup of his minions, whether it's hellhounds or poltergeist or whatever it may be, to get it there, and then you have that big confrontation at the end that everybody was waiting for.
Right. I had no issues with it. It was fun. It was an original Ghostbusters story. Yes. I would say it borrowed elements from old Ghostbusters films. This isn't a harp in any way. I know you have a couple too. Again, the cast is a little large, but they have to do that.
Yeah.
This isn't a harp. This is a creative choice I would have liked to see, was just the mentioning that now that Gozer's gone, all of these other ghosts now feel free to come out. right? And because I think it explains why there haven't been any ghosts in 30 years, right? Was that now that Gozer's been done away with, she was that bad that now all these other types of ghosts can come out. But it's okay that they didn't do that. We don't need that. Slimer nailed Slimer. Perfect. Just nailed him.
Yep.
I was asked during the film, is he a good guy? I said, he's not a good or a bad guy. He's a free floating vapor that eats whatever he wants, including pizza, which was one of the best scenes of the entire film.
Yes.
But they nailed it. If you love Ghostbusters, you will love Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. The characters pick up right where they left off. They didn't have to do too much character development.
Yeah. I will say that if you haven't seen Afterlife yet, watch
you do
Afterlife.
need to see that. Yeah,
you do need to see Afterlife.
But why would you not see this without that?
I don't know. I don't know. Right. So, but again, there are folks because there were friends of mine who were actually out here who were like, maybe I'll see Frozen Empire, but I didn't see Afterlife. I'm like, see Afterlife first. See Afterlife first.
If you don't see Afterlife first,
yeah,
you won't know what any of this means.
Yeah. And the only other thing I want,
Ray, there's settings on this. See, I've got a Frozen setting on that. Ooh. That's going to be annoying for the audience. But listen, everybody at home, I know you love it.
Yes. I will say I want Rick Moranis back at some point.
Well, I'm sure when he wants to come back, he will. But again, it was well done. They perfectly had the old firehouse in it. It was just a good story, right?
Yeah.
I enjoyed. It wasn't even 2 hours. I enjoyed the hour and 49-minute film. The after credit scene was fine. It's good. Yes. It was a good film.
Yeah. No. Exactly. Yeah. There is one after credit scene. It's not really. It's just a kind of cute comedic thing. It's not going to build anything or lead to anything. It's nothing like that. It's just something a little extra there at the end.
Yeah, and the only other missing part, not just Rick Moranis, but is Sigourney Weaver, if she wants to reprise Dana at all, but she doesn't have to.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, so there we go. An impromptu Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Today's show is brought to you by Ghostbusters. Fun for the whole family for 40 years.
We're ready to believe you. So.
Well done.
Thank you. But we got a big show for you folks. We got comic books, we got video games, we got all kinds of stuff to talk about. Of course, we got a lot of sports stuff as well. We got football, we got baseball, we got college basketball.
But the big story on Action News tonight,
WrestleMania. There we go.
Another prop for me today. This was given to me by my nephew, Savi. He worked WWE World for WrestleMania.
That's awesome.
He got to do some amazing stuff. We got to watch every night of it.
That's very
you already know if you watch, it was the biggest WrestleMania of all time.
Yeah.
People are comparing the Sunday WrestleMania to Endgame in Marvel, which is not that far off.
Yeah.
If you didn't walk away feeling satisfied from WrestleMania this year, you probably shouldn't watch wrestling ever again.
Yeah, no, this hit all the right notes. It did everything it needed to. Like you said, Triple H said in his post-game press conference,
post-show WrestleMania press conference, brought to you by Ghostbusters.
Yes, it broke every record in the first 3 hours of the weekend.
And Ray, you say it in the intro, beautiful Los Angeles, California, but home of the biggest WrestleMania of all time, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
To be fair, we did not have a WWE World. This was their first year doing it. So
I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think we're just better. So you can have beautiful Los Angeles, California, but Philadelphia owns wrestling. And look. To be fair,
really does own wrestling.
Outside Memphis, Tennessee, Philadelphia has always been a major wrestling destination.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, again, Paul. I mean, especially just real quick touch on the Hall of Fame and Paul Heyman's epic speech, right? The home of ECW.
We can't repeat it on the air.
Yeah, it was we can't. We
can't repeat.
We had to bleep out massive sections of it. But it was perfect. It was a perfect thing. His speech was long overdue. But I think also the big theme of the weekend was we are now in the Triple H era.
Yeah,
Vince is gone. 100%. This has tied up everything from here on out going forward is fully Triple H creative. And I think it is, I've been joking with my friends. I think it should be called the Renaissance era because it is a rebirth for wrestling and for WWE. And goodness knows it is, it's better. They say it's better than it ever been. It is I can confirm better than I think it's ever been.
Well, here's the deal. We've been talking for years about AEW and WWE, and we've been saying, and you can go back to our old episodes, that the WWE will know how to fix this, and they have figured it out. A lot of people were crying at the end of WrestleMania. Everything from Samantha Irvine to Cody Rhodes was crying a little bit. I mean, you even got Seth Rollins crying. I don't think people understand what that company has been through over the last 4 years, really from COVID to now.
Yeah.
You've had major problems with people getting in the seats. Then you have this major competitor come along. Then you have, honestly, the biggest scandal in the history of professional wrestling.
Yep.
And somehow at the peak of that, they have been able to flip this on its head and turn it into a win, which is what they always do. And I think we said that they will find their way. A lot of credit's got to go to Paul Levesque, Triple H, for those you don't know, for his incredible writing, or as Paul Heyman said, his pencil. But a lot of credit also has to go to Dwayne Johnson. Massive amounts. Like, look, he helped make this the best.
He was willing to turn heel and to do what needed to be done, and just recognizing the way things were going, how the wind was blowing, and being like, this is what's best for business.
It was masterfully done.
Yes.
The epilogue was last night, Ray. I'm guessing you have not seen Raw yet, so I will.
I have watched. I did. I stayed up till 3 a.m. I got in last night.
So,
I watched stay up till 3 a.m. to watch the DVR of Raw.
Well, I'm glad you did. And the only thing I'm going to talk about with Raw is a lot of fun things happened. But The Rock came out. The final boss came out and basically said, it's really kind of awkward but fun. He's like, well, The Rock's got to go away for a little bit. Yeah. And I was sitting there like, to promote Moana too. But a new spin on wrestling storytelling happened last night, which I don't recall this ever happening. Where, first off, he played with the Philly crowd for 30 minutes, and it was hilarious every set. Again, speaking about Philly as a sports city, he called us the biggest gathering of trailer park trash ever and got a standing ovation for it, and then started laughing. They had to zoom out the camera because he was laughing so much. Because he just knows the crowd.
The Philly crowd is it's an opposite crowd, right? They cheer for the insults.
That's a great way of saying it. We are the opposite. He's the boss. We are the opposite crowd. What was fun about watching The Rock or Dwayne Johnson is that it's such a conflict of, they love him. Yeah. They love him as a heel, but they got to make him a heel. They understood. They just understood. Yeah. But in a new twist in storytelling, The Rock says, I'm going to be back. Yeah. He hands Cody Rhodes something and says, don't ever break my heart again. Planting a huge seed. None of us know what he handed him, which is the point. And he's going to go away, and it's just going to sit there. And it's brilliant because everyone's talking about it, from is that the heart of Tafiti to is that his dad's broken watch that he sold to, what is it? Right. And again, it's a lingering question. This is right out of the Marvel playbook. That was The Rock will return if you're watching a Marvel film. Yes. And again, they've said already that the tribal chief is going to be going on a new storyline. Yep. Right. The Rock basically said to Cody, "You're mine. Like, I will be fighting you in the future for whatever that means." Yep. There's a lot of different directions they could go from here, 100%. But it's been fun to watch. I mean, like, my kids watched WrestleMania with me. They were really into it. My daughter gave me 7 body slams and it hurt. But I mean, she really did, dude. She jumped on the top of the couch and, like, with her elbow in the air, slammed on me. And on the 5th one, I was like, Alina, it's not fun now. Stop. It's starting to hurt. And then she made me choke slammer.
Two more. She gave me two more.
She did. And then she made me choke slammer 3 times, which was fun. And she knows how to do it. She does the jump and she's like, no. It's really funny. You'll come by one time. If you haven't choke slammed a child with consent, highly recommend it.
Yes.
Don't
and
do it
like a soft bed or something.
Yeah. Don't do it without consent. That's illegal. Ray, I don't want to go through every match. I do want to say, again, spoiler if you haven't seen WrestleMania somehow or seen the clips. The only thing I wanted was for Attitude Era stars to drag The Rock to hell. Yeah. Okay. And people said, I don't know about that. And it's exactly what happened. Yeah. It's exactly what happened. The Undertaker dragged him to hell or under the mat. Yeah. It was beautifully done. The entire event was beautifully done. I have no complaints.
Yeah, no, it was great. I mean, and going forward, you mentioned, I think John Cena has said he's going to come back for one more run in 2025 to kind of, hint when they go to Netflix. I think that's when The Rock will come back. as well. I think
yeah,
that'll be really
100%.
interesting to see.
He will come back for the Netflix start.
Netflix stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they'll stop bleeping.
By
all
the
his
way,
F
where he
bombs.
can be completely R-rated if he wants.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
And he basically was. I mean, he was cursing up a storm the last.
Yeah,
few
and
nights.
I think he kind of is like, I don't want to get bleeped anymore, and I think a lot of folks are kind of getting a little miffed at him. So it was one of those things where he'll go away until Moana 2 releases in theaters in
Make
November.
way.
And then I think January 1st again, when they go to Netflix, Raw goes to Netflix, I think you'll see The Rock and Cena, and they'll come back for one more run, and they'll go after Cody. And I think
one of our friends made a really interesting observation about The Rock from a larger viewpoint, was that now that he's on the TKO board and probably has some massive investment in that company, he doesn't necessarily need to rely on Hollywood like he had.
That's also true.
And it changes the dynamic of Dwayne Johnson now and what he's able to do. He can easily step away. I believe at the end of the day, this is the one thing I want to discuss, that The Rock's return for, what was it, 2 months?
He made an appearance in January, but he really started like right after the Rumble. Really kind of angry. So it's been just over 2 months.
So there was a 2-month storyline there. I think he has earned back any respect from fans that think he's just a come and go type person.
Yeah.
It was masterful. And again, there's still people like, go away, go back to Hollywood. Guys, he started here. This is his home, right?
Yep.
Hollywood has always been the secondary thing. I still view him that way. I love that he's a movie star, but he's always been a wrestler first to me.
Yeah.
And he would say that too, right? So just masterfully done, and setting up kind of a new era and a new, I guess, way for superstars from that era to kind of come back. And again, it was done right. They didn't rely on them. They let the modern talent shine.
Yeah.
While allowing the elders, if you will, to continue the story. That is the mistake they have made so many times. It's like they have to have Stone Cold come and save everybody. It's like no. The modern star, Cody Rhodes. I'd say Roman Reigns. All the modern stars shined in this WrestleMania. I mean, it was masterfully done. Masterfully done.
No, for sure, absolutely. It was really well done. I will say, at least for me, if you saw my TikTok, I give myself extra points. I said I go 12-3 in my predictions, because not only did I predict most of the matches correctly, but I also predicted the Money in the Bank cash-in on Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
And I also predicted, and I gave myself a double for this, I predicted that they were going to split the tag titles, and I predicted both new tag champions correctly.
You did.
So I give myself 12.
All hail Ray. All hail Ray. You could.
The only things I did not expect.
Yeah, I love this. Go ahead.
That I screwed up was I did not expect the Philadelphia Eagles, led by Jason Kelsey.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
The Eagles screwed me over in that match.
Yeah. WrestleMania 40. WrestleMania. That doesn't work as well as the Eagles.
a little long there, a little long.
Yeah. Around the M, I was like,
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so Jason, on night one, the only match I got wrong was the Andrade and Rey Mysterio tag match versus Santos.
Nobody expects the Kelsey.
Nobody expects the
Travis Jason Kelsey.
So that I got wrong. I also wasn't expecting. I didn't know Bubba Ray was going to be the special guest referee.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere. I didn't expect that either. It was kind of random.
Thumb, anytime you have a special guest of some kind or a surprise guest, the faces usually go over. Usually. So I screwed those up, and I admit I went with my heart for the U.S. title match, and I went with Kevin Owens. I wanted Kevin Owens more than in Logan Paul winning was the right move.
Oh, yeah.
But I still wanted Kevin Owens, so that's the only other one I got wrong. So.
Yeah, no, listen, if you got them all right, it wouldn't be good, right?
Right.
There's a lot of fan service in this WrestleMania.
Yes.
But that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
And again, we deserve that. It's been a few years of not great WrestleManias and fan service. So,
right.
Kudos to the WWE. Haven't said this in years. I'm excited to see where they go from here. I have not said that in years. And I don't know where they're going from here. We knew where this was kind of going.
Yeah.
Right. The question with us was, could they pull it off?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and they did. They did.
Now for a few extra Ray predictions, because they announced last night on Raw that the draft is happening at the end of April, I think right after Backlash, I believe. And I'm going to say right now, I think that now, and this is why I believed that Gunther was going to drop the title to Sammy, I think they're going to bring Gunther over to SmackDown now, and I think he's going to be one of the first people to go after Cody.
Mm-hmm.
After that incredible Intercontinental title run.
Right, he's due.
That's what I'm saying. He has made himself a main event player.
Right.
And I think that Gunther, you know,
he's earned it 100%.
100%. Like the evil Austrian general, against Cody with the American Nightmare. Like,
yeah,
it writes itself, folks.
Yeah.
So that is my one prediction for the draft, is that I think Gunther is going to get drafted over to SmackDown to go after Cody. So
yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't know where they're going to go with Reigns, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the whole family thing going on there.
I was going to say, speaking of the family, they announced yesterday that they signed another one of the cousins, Jacob Fatu, who had been wrestling in Japan and was a free agent. He is now a WWE superstar. Is he going to start at NXT? Is he going to go right to SmackDown? Is he going to join the Bloodline? Is the Bloodline going to come back together? You're going to have multiple Bloodlines? Is Jacob going to challenge Roman? Like, you could do a lot now, especially now that you continue to sign the Samoan members of the Samoan dynasty. So I think that's a fun possibility too.
Right.
So.
I also want to give a shout out to the entire women's division, whose stories really have been fantastic. Jade Cargill coming in was amazing.
Yes.
The whole WrestleMania started off with Rhea Ripley, obviously retaining her title. It was just well balanced as well.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it right. Like you look forward to those matches too. There was a time when those matches they felt forced. I'm not saying that they were. I'm saying they felt that way.
Right.
Right. And they don't feel that way anymore. Like you wait for them just like every other match, and it's awesome. It's an awesome thing.
I look forward to the women's matches just as much as the men's matches.
Right. That's a 20-year in the making type statement, which is awesome.
I mean,
not for you, for wrestling.
And also a huge shout out to Becky and Rhea, who kicked things off, set the tone for the whole weekend.
Awesome.
And Becky, who had strep throat and 102 fever, wrestled, and Rhea, who had a panic attack, she says, right before she went out, and they had to calm her down. And they put on an 18-minute match classic.
Right. So, and now Rhea also has strep throat and 102 fever, most likely. No, it was a good start to the entire thing. It was well done all around. Just great job, Triple H. We'll see where we go from here. The fact that the crowd in Philadelphia was saying, "Thank you, Hunter." Yeah. I mean, it tells you really people were conflicted. I mean, you're seeing it now, how conflicted people were and how much they wanted the WWE to survive. Yeah. And like I said, no one is talking about AEW. Nobody right now.
No, except for how bad it is.
Yeah, right. It's peak too soon, man.
As somebody who liked in the past tense what AEW has done nothing but screw up the last 9 months. Ever since the England show, ever since letting go CM Punk, Tony Khan is so petty to the point where he's giving Dustin Rhodes, aka formerly Goldust or whatever, he's giving him a world title match, an elimination match, but a chance against Samoa Joe on Wednesday. And they did a promo about his story. And it's like, you're just copying what WWE just did.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, right, is that we said it, that the WWE is so big, they don't have to make a response. They just have to do their job better than AEW, and they're doing it.
They are doing it so much better.
That may be a storyline in the future, too. We'll see. Actually, Triple H had a great statement about, if you want to have a smaller card and work less and take care of your body, this is not for you. WWE is not for you. Like, what a statement. Yeah. Right? Like, this is the big time. You want to be big time?
Exactly.
You gotta do it. I was wow.
If you want to be a WWE superstar and consider yourself amongst the best of the best, you're going to wrestle 3 to 4 times a week.
Right.
You're going to be on the road. Now, is the schedule, and I'll say this, the schedule for WWE now is even lighter than it used to be. Right. They're wrestling 4 times a week. It used to be that they were wrestling 6 times a week.
With dark matches too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
People didn't see it.
They've still lightened their load, and it's still way more than AEW, and it shows. Yeah. It shows in the ring. That's why Jade left. That's why a lot of these folks are jumping ship, because they're like, I want to be a superstar.
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a merger there in a year or two. We'll see.
I think it may. I think AEW, this feels like the end of the WCW days. They had a great 5-year run.
Right.
And honestly, and here's the thing, Tony Khan is a bajillionaire. He could continue to fund this for as long as he wants, probably. But they're also talking about now they're going to release the security footage from when Punk and Jungle Boy fought backstage, because they're so mad at what Punk said the other, which by the way, Punk did not say really anything that bad. He said, look, he called Tony Khan. He said he's a very, very nice man. I just don't think I think he's a fan more than he actually knows anything about wrestling. Which honestly, you look at the way that he's booked things, it's 100% true. Like,
yeah.
By the way, Tony Khan, if you need help, call me.
No,
I can fix this. So, but
this guy went 47-3 at WrestleMania, Tony. So give him a call. All right, WrestleMania in the books.
yes.
Great to have the WWE back. Might have earned me back as a viewer with my children. Which, by the way, watching wrestling with a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old really fun.
Yeah.
Because you have to explain to them what you can and cannot say. Also, it's good because when there's a big hit or a big bump, like they should go nuts. But the last thing I'll say, there's a moment on night 2 where that Undertaker toll bell went off, and I turned into a 7-year-old for a second. I was like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! It's going on!" It was exactly. I mean, I will say that I went 1 for 1 in my big prediction. And a lot of people thought that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
But I had a feeling. No Austin. For whatever reason, but you didn't need him.
No.
And I think Triple H might know, like, well, maybe save that one. Yeah, you don't need that one right away, right? But
maybe bring it back next year, right? Like we still don't know where WrestleMania 41 is going to be. They surprisingly did not announce it, although there are rumors they have gotten it down to 2 cities. They are talking to Vegas,
New Jersey.
Yeah, I wish, and they are talking to Minneapolis. Those are the 2.
What was the first one?
Vegas.
I was gonna say Vegas. I was just gonna say that's probably where they should go next. Ray, what are you drinking there, bud?
Oh, this is iced tea.
Yeah, it looks like a beer.
I know, it looks like it's actually iced green tea.
Is it Steve Weiser?
From one of my favorite places, the Carving Board, and it's iced tea because they don't serve beer. I do
love the Carving Board. I love it. I got to come out to see you soon. I'm gonna say it again. Fantastic job. Make sure you guys listen to the New to Wrestling podcast with my nephew, but our friend Xavier Cruz.
Yes,
they do a great job, and they've been doing a lot of stuff with Behind the Ring. He worked WWE World. If you're a huge fan, it's a great show, especially if you're newer to wrestling. Literally, it's in the title. Last thing. This isn't a WrestleMania thing. I was shocked after WrestleMania ended. They showed a trailer, Ray, for this new kind of behind the scenes documentary for WrestleMania. And what was shocking to me was that in our childhood, when they did these things, people were still in character.
Yeah.
This was no. They're going to show you how they did this. And like with Dwayne Johnson and Paul Levesque and their behind the scenes creation of this story. And I think it's brilliant. And, in talking to Xavier, who I talked about a minute ago, he said, it's time. Everybody knows the stories are not real.
No, kayfabe is dead.
Yeah. So it's like, why wouldn't you talk about this? Why wouldn't you? Yeah. And I'll tell you this, right? As a writer, as an executive producer, Caitlin hates when I say that to our producer, Caitlin. No, but as a writer, as a storyteller, and someone who's creative, I'm extremely interested in how they come up with these ideas.
Yeah.
Right. And this has been Vince McMahon would never allow this to happen.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so I'm excited to see where this goes.
That's part of the reason why I love Dark Side of the Ring so much, is because you get Jim Cornette. No matter how you feel about Jim Cornette, a very polarizing figure in wrestling. For sure. But he'd be like, during the Attitude Era, he's like, I'd be sitting next to Jim Ross, I'd be sitting next to Russo, be sitting with Vince, and this is how these meetings went. Right. And that, to me, I just loved that. Like
I like that stuff too.
Well, yeah. So very, very fascinating to see what's happening with that. A lot going on this weekend. It was a lot of championships changed hands in wrestling. We also had some champions crowned over in the NCAA. The NCAA basketball tournament, March Madness, has come to an end. We'll kick things off with the men's real quick, because honestly, I think it's in a funny way, in a weird way, Lee, a back-to-back champion is actually the smaller story.
Even if they weren't, it would still be the smaller story.
No, for sure, but it is true. UConn repeats, rarefied air. You don't see that very often ever in NCAA basketball.
It's true. Villanova did it, not back-to-back, but they did 2 and 3 years.
Sure. No, I mean, like, again, if you keep everybody together, you can build like a mini dynasty. But again, the idea is also that within 4 years, most of your team is going to be gone. But UConn finds a way to go back to back, a big deal for the men's. But again, the bigger story is the women. Not only they outdrew the men in terms of ratings, they had much better storylines. And
you had the
number one player in the world. Yeah. You had the number one player in the world against the number one team in South Carolina, and the number one team beat the number one player. South Carolina wins another championship.
And as a team, I can appreciate that. The thing about the number one team that I think the casual sport fan might not know. Now, if you follow women's basketball, you know this. All 5 starters gone at the start of the season from the previous season.
Yeah.
They won this with 5 new players.
Yeah.
That speaks to the genius of Don Staley as a coach. It speaks to the power of teamwork. They had no place being number 1, going undefeated. Like I don't think people fully understand. It's a new 5 players went undefeated to defeat the greatest basketball player in collegiate history.
Yeah.
That's a storyline.
Yeah.
That's like if the Undertaker came out at the end of WrestleMania. Seriously, like great stories this week on Geeks Who Like Sports. But congratulations, Dawn Staley. I'm a huge fan of Dawn Staley. She's from Philadelphia. I've seen her speak many times. As a coach myself, I have the utmost respect for her. And then I give her respect for giving Caitlin Clark respect after the game and what she was done for the game. And the WNBA draft coming up here very shortly. So Caitlin Clark will see in the WNBA shortly. And that's going to elevate the WNBA. So it has been an insane year across the board for women's sports.
Yes.
Not just basketball, but hockey as well.
Yep.
Women's soccer has taken a step up. A lot of amazing things happening right now. But congratulations, South Carolina and UConn. I don't want to shortchange the back-to-back.
I was going to say yes. So I don't want to just poo-poo on that. That's obviously a great accomplishment.
It's insane. It's an insane accomplishment. But it's great to see both tournaments now this year on an even playing field, as they should be. And I hope that it continues to be that way, because that women's tournament and the men's tournament was fantastic.
Yes.
I do love that every bracket was broken the first weekend, though.
Yeah, I mean, again, shout out to the Final Four, North Carolina, NC State, and Alabama, lower seeds, particularly NC State, an 11 seed, getting all the way to the Final Four. And then UConn knocks off the Boilermakers, Purdue, who had been in their first, I think, championship game in over a half century. So
we should also mention though that UConn destroyed everyone. Not one of these games was close at the end. I think
it was a systematic, systematic dismantling, team by team. Like it was this UConn was a juggernaut. In this tournament.
I love that reference. I think the closest point differential at the end of a game was 14 points, and it was not even in the championship game.
I was going to say, even the championship, they won by 15. It was 75-60.
So fantastic work to UConn and South Carolina on what, again, another great year for March Madness, right? Like probably the biggest March Madness ever, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, because to your point again earlier, because you also had, I mean, you had the women's drawing just as much, if not more, than the men.
Yeah,
so
like 18 million viewers, and I don't even know if they calculate streaming with that. I mean,
every game was getting huge eyeballs.
Yeah, there is a massive shift happening right now in sports, and I love it.
Yes. Speaking of shifts in sports,
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the schmucks out in Oakland.
Yes, as I call them, the pathetics.
The Oakland Pathetics.
Yeah, the Oakland Pathetics will now
that's not their name anymore.
I was going to say they're just going to be called the Pathetics, because when they go to Sacramento, they will not have the city in front of their name. That is a done deal. We talked about this last week, that Oakland as a city had come back to the A's and like, please, we will extend the lease. We want this. We want certain concessions. And again, A's ownership, Fisher, the owner of the Pathetics, who is himself the biggest pathetic, was like, nope, we're going to Sacramento. We're going to go play in front of 9,000 people in Sacramento for 3 years.
I thought about a few things here. One is that they don't want to play in front of no fans. I'm sure that played into the decision. And the A's fans are not coming back in Oakland.
Right.
The surprising thing a lot of people don't know is how small the Sacramento stadium is. It can only hold 10,000 something.
Yeah,
people.
It's less than 10,000.
Well, I'm sure they'll make some adjustments to change that to probably 15,000. But that's small. I mean, that's way worse than.
It's a minor league stadium.
Yeah, it's way worse than the Coyotes playing in a college stadium. In terms of like percentage, when you think about it,
right? Because typically a hockey stadium is only 20,000 anyway.
Well, that would be a big stadium. Like usually 17 to 19,000.
Yeah, I think the Garden is like 18.2.
Yeah,
so
I think 20 like Montreal has 20, and that's the biggest in the league, I believe.
Right, and like so, you're going from a 50,000 seat stadium. Actually, if they wanted to open the upper decks because of the football decks, they could fit 70 in there.
Yeah,
and you're going to a less, probably. I mean, like you said, probably get it over to 10, closer to 15, but still probably about 10,000 seat stadium. It's a big deal. Whereas, in Vegas, although some people in Vegas were kicking and screaming, the Tropicana Casino has officially been shut down, and is scheduled for demolition, and construction will probably begin sometime next year.
The A's are going to be there.
Yes.
It's just a matter of time. I mean, because Vegas wants baseball. They're just going to get the best deal for themselves. But, going to Sacramento, and that's where the A's will live. And like, hopefully,
for 3 years,
people show up. I mean, it's better, better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's just really a shame that this is what it came down to. And again, it's not great. It's not a great look. Again, the fact that all the owners just allow this to happen.
Billionaires make other owners too, right?
Yeah. Well, I really think that they should force out the owner of the Athletics, because
and they will when he goes to Vegas and removes himself. That's what's going to happen.
That could happen. That's
they know that they can wait 15 years. They can wait 5 years. They don't care.
Yeah. No.
Speaking of not caring. No,
speaking of not caring. Yeah. Oof, man. Those talk about. I don't know if you watch the link that I sent you right before we went on the show, Lee, about the uniform. So again, to just harp on, God, the baseball uniforms are awful this year.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did see that video. I know what you're talking about.
Of the player who slid and his leg ripped. But speaking of awful jerseys and awful, also the Phillies are getting and revealed their City Connect jerseys. And I'll say this, really like the hat.
Hat's great. I actually bought the hat.
The hat's great.
Bought the hat. Yeah.
The blue Liberty Bell, I like that hat. But the blue and black and weird font on the front and the back, and you can't read the numbers, and the Phillies, Lee, I'm not saying this to bust anything. I really do believe that this might be the worst, if not at least one of the worst City Connect.
Yeah, look, here's the deal. So a lot of people don't realize that the actual flag of Philadelphia is light blue with yellow. You guys will remember that the Philadelphia Eagles wore a similar jersey to that a few years ago that was disgusting as well. So that explains the blue and the yellow. Like, a lot of people don't know where that came from. So I'm willing to I'm not going to say forgive. I'm willing to be understanding of the color choice.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is that you have the greatest mascot in sports, the undisputed greatest mascot in the history of sports. Nobody fights that in the Philadelphia Fanatic. I don't know why they didn't use that in these jerseys as a creative choice. They're going to say, well, it's about the city. It's about the people. Everyone wanted that. Everybody.
Yep.
They had a spring training hat with the Fanatic on it, Ray. You can't get it anymore. It's sold out so fast. So I don't know why they didn't do that or lead with that. I think that would have been brilliant. You could have done green. I mean, I guess they're probably thinking that's the Eagles thing. But yeah, these are very, I would never wear that jersey on the street.
Nope.
It looks better on the players than it does as something you would wear as a fan. I'll say it doesn't look horrible on the players.
Sure.
But the hat with the Liberty Bell and the 2 stars, and it's, let's be honest,
the hat looks great.
Well, let's be honest, it's Yankee navy blue, dark blue. So
yeah,
I bought that hat. The hat is great, right? It's very subtly Philly. And some of the side logos are pretty good. Like, there's a logo that says love. There's a big love statue here in Philadelphia.
Right.
They did a good job with those little accents. But yeah, you're not going to catch me in that thing anytime soon. I went to the Phillies game in Washington on Sunday. They lost to the Nationals. And a guy was walking in it. Somebody had one already. And I was like, okay.
Does not work.
Not going to work. But again, I think, man, the people who design these things, sometimes I wonder, how did you get to that?
Yeah.
Was the Fanatic even a discussion?
Well, I mean, and again, this just goes back to the fact that baseball has had so many issues with these jerseys this year and making new jerseys. I mean, and even to the point where the Brewers, who every Friday last year, that's their thing, is they wear their City Connect jerseys. And actually, they have one of the better City Connect jerseys where it's a light blue. It says Brew Crew on the front.
Yeah.
They're like, we're not going to do that again this year until June. And everybody's like, why? And they're like, because Nike Fanatics forgot to make them.
Jeez.
They didn't make them for the players.
The whole idea behind these jerseys is to have some sort of connection to the city. Like the Nationals have their cherry blossoms on them, which is people might think is stupid, but that's kind of DC's thing.
Yeah, it's an iconic thing.
But the Brew Crew is like, let me talk to the fans.
Yeah.
And the Fanatic is such a connector to the fans here. Like, I don't understand. You know what probably happens, Ray? They get into these meetings and someone's probably like, oh, we already sell Fanatic stuff and people already buy it. And it's just like, they don't sometimes I wonder if they're really connected to the fan. Like, let's do something new. Like, you don't need to, you morons.
They're not connected to the family. We know that with baseball
A
already.
lot of times I don't think they are. Or they hire a marketing agency that's not from here.
Oh, God.
And like, oh, well, no, we'll have it say Philly on the front. I'm like, yeah, all right.
No. Yeah. Like,
I know where I live, buddy. Thank you. They could have called them the Philadelphia Fanatics for a night. I mean, it works,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They could have said Fanatics instead of Phillies. There's so many things you could have done.
Yeah.
And Ray, I don't know. I would like to say I'm an expert on Philadelphia fan culture. Do you think the fans of Philadelphia would like to wear a jersey that says Fanatics? Does that not speak to the nature of our city and what we do?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Schmuck.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the funny thing is that like the company's called Fanatics that makes the jerseys.
I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about the obvious $1 billion idea I just created for them.
Yep. But that's the thing is that again, we live in a culture of morons failing upwards.
It's true,
and
you know they really missed the pitch on this one.
Yeah, speaking of pitchers,
that was a horrible segue, but I'll take ownership.
We'll take it. It really. This has been happening for a couple years. We actually talked about this on the show a lot about the new injuries to pitchers, and we had what we called Bloody Saturday now here in the league, where 3 major pitchers: Jonathan Loaiza, a long reliever for the Yankees, and Spencer Strider, one of the top young guns in the National League for the Braves, and Shane Bieber, a stellar pitcher for Cleveland. All went down, season-ending arm injuries already, and now there might be a 4th. Framber Valdez for Houston was scratched last minute from his start with elbow soreness, which usually means he's going to get an MRI, and that usually means within the next week or so we'll hear that he either tore his UCL or will need surgery or possibly Tommy John surgery. So he might be a 4th added to the list. But on Saturday in particular, all 3 of those guys were announced as being done for the year. And again, the Baseball Players Association came out and like, it's the pitch clock. It's like, it's not the pitch clock, you idiots. It's not the pitch clock. It's the fact that there's 2 things. Like, it's been 1 year. These injuries have been happening now for a decade, right? Here's the thing that's the problem. More people are throwing harder than ever before. They're throwing at 100 miles an hour. That used to be one guy did that, Nolan Ryan, for 100 years of baseball. Now almost everybody does that. If you're not throwing at least 95, you're considered a soft thrower, which is it's ridiculous. So there is that natural wear and tear. Also, and this is something that I know that is near and dear to Lee's heart, and we've talked about again on the show, is that players aren't using the off season to do other things.
Mm-hmm.
As younger players, they are playing baseball year-round in winter leagues and going to warmer places. And instead of like as high school and college players playing basketball or playing football or playing anything else besides baseball, they're continuing to put wear and tear on their arms 365 days a year. There's a lot of pitchers that even just from 20 years ago who were saying, why are you doing an off-season pitching program? You only have so many bullets in that gun. What are you doing? And this only seems to be proving that more that, yes, are guys throwing harder and does that put more strain on you? Yes. So then why are you also throwing more? Take a break. You don't need to throw in the winter. Just my thoughts. Lee, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think more people get injured, they'll change the science behind training, and somebody will last longer, and that's the way it works. I mean, I also understand that if you can throw 100 miles per hour consistently, it's worth millions of dollars, and some of these guys might be saying it's worth the risk.
Sure.
But, you know, Ray, you're absolutely right. You have to let your body heal. Every bit of research shows that you should not be playing one thing year-round. Everything. Yep. You could be obsessed with something year-round, but you have got to let your arm heal. You've got to let your body heal.
Yep.
And you have to allow that time, right? Again, and when you look at the guys who play a long time, like LeBron James invests $1 million into his body a year. I don't think that if you gave me $1 million and said that you can only spend this on your body, I would even know how to spend it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd even be able to spend it all. So, like, something to think about.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, again, MLBPA, I get you're trying to protect the players, but maybe do some research before you open your mouth because it's not the pitch clock.
No,
it's not.
Well, and the MLB kind of came back and was like, no, nothing supports you in that. The minors are having no problems with that.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
no,
our
it's
games are a half an hour shorter, and people are
yes.
happy. So
The Yankees played a game yesterday. It was 2 hours and 1 minute. It was
That's
the
amazing.
fastest game they've played since 1992, and it was
Amazing.
glorious.
Yeah, it's quick. Should be.
Yeah, it should be. The game should not be 3 hours. The game is fine at 2 to 2.5 hours. It's better, like you said, it's better that way. It's the same thing with movies. A movie should not be 3 hours long. Sorry. It's
No,
ridiculous.
never.
Tell your story in 2 hours and get the
Yeah.
heck out.
Yeah, Endgame is the only movie I understood that was 3 hours long. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, because it's just 10 years coming together.
Yeah, like it was it was almost a celebration as much as it was a story. Like,
right.
One other freak industry injury that happened yesterday that I need to talk about. Jonathan India, the second baseman / DH for the Cincinnati Reds. It was batting practice before the game yesterday. And during the eclipse, Jonathan India, he had his sunglasses on, and he was looking up at the sky and looking at the eclipse. And a foul ball from while somebody was taking batting practice went and plunked Mr. India when he was not looking, and he ended up. I think he might have still played, but it became very questionable. He went immediately to the questionable list because he supposedly was hit so hard.
One of the guys stared into the sun for 30 minutes.
Something like, yeah, it just.
And no, he had to go to the hospital. Like it doesn't matter if it's an eclipse. You don't look at the sun ever. You don't look straight at the sun ever.
Athletes are sometimes just really good at just being athletes.
Oh, don't underestimate how stupid they can be.
Yes.
I mean, most of them are very smart people. All right. But it's like the dude stared at the sun and now he can't see that well. And it's like, oh my God. Like, look, I love eclipses and astro phenomena. Okay. But let's be honest, eclipses, not that amazing.
Not that big a deal.
Yeah. It gets a little dark and then the sun comes back out. I understand it's an event. I understand there won't be another one for 20 years. Yeah. A local school let people out of school here, which was asinine. If my school did that, I would have raised hell.
Yeah.
Right. And the funny part was it was heavily overcast, so you could barely see anything.
Didn't see anything because of the clouds.
Yeah, it was really funny, right? But like again, I'm not poo-pooing on science. I'm not poo-pooing on eclipses. All right, but like our ability to make something so much bigger than it has to be
priorities
is amazing. So this brings us to our PSA. Never look at the sun, you schmucks.
I'm sorry. I can't.
Don't ever look at the sun ever, even with protection, like sunglasses. And like, remember, there's a reason why the eclipse glasses, you can't see anything with them but the sun.
Yeah.
Because it's blinding.
Yeah.
It's powerful. Even with it 90% covered, it was still pretty bright outside yesterday.
Yeah.
Schmucks. Don't look at the sun.
Idiots.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk on proper I don't even know what this is. Proper living?
No, you know what it is, Lee? People who look at the sun should get hit by the bus.
Yes.
That's it. They're the people who go in front. To the folks who are schmucky enough to look at the sun during or not during an eclipse, doesn't matter. You get hit by the bus. You're in front of the bus.
By the way, yeah, I believe it's like if you look at it for more than 10 seconds, you're 100% going to have eye damage.
Your corneas are screwed.
Fried. Yeah, schmucks. And I'm pretty sure in baseball you need your eyes. I mean, yeah. Actually, I'm pretty sure
in life, you don't want to not have your eyes.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Let's go ask a blind person if they would prefer to see or continue to not see.
Yeah, we should have I'm going to write a note about that. Okay, so anyway, there was an eclipse yesterday.
Yeah. So and Jonathan,
next one's in 20 years.
Yeah,
so we're all safe unless you look at the sun. For the next 20 years, don't look at the sun.
Well, at least that is the one solace that we can take from this is we won't have to listen to this again for another 2 decades.
Yes, and then after the great pandemic of 2040, we'll have to deal with it again,
all over again because we never learn.
Yeah, COVID 39 is here.
It's on its way.
Getting flashback. You know, it's funny. Sometimes when I'm still in a crowded place, I still get little like shivers of like I shouldn't be around this many people. It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
I get that. We all got a little PTSD. I think we're all dealing with it still.
We're gonna do a really quick football segment, a really quick hockey segment, and a basketball segment, and then we got some great geek stuff this week. So make sure if you've listened to this far into the episode, keep listening because the geek stuff.
Yeah, we got a lot.
I did kind of kick the show off with the geek.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're going geek. We're doing like a bell.
I want to hear it again. Hold on. And then.
Okay, we're going geek, then sports, now back to geek. But
right now we're all over the place.
Yeah, we're still in the sports section, though. Real quick talk, like we mentioned, short football section. Big trade, though, this week in football. Stephon Diggs traded for a second-round pick to the Buffalo Bills. Excuse me, from the Buffalo Bills to the Houston Texans. My apologies. Second-round pick goes to the Bills. Houston Texans get Stephon Diggs. Houston has suddenly gone into win now. They win the division last year. Now they're like, we got C.J. Stroud. We might be able to win now if we get him some weapons.
All right.
They got him Joe Mixon at running back. He's got his rookie receiver, Tank Dell, will come back from injury next year. Now you got Stephon Diggs. Suddenly the Houston Texans are like, we can put a stranglehold on this division.
If you're a Texans fan, you're very happy right now.
You're the better team in Texas.
You are. Well, that didn't take much, but yeah, who's not happy right now, Ray? Or actually, they probably are happy now.
Who?
People out in Kansas City.
Yeah, no, that's a big thing. That is a big thing too. I want to get your thoughts though. Did the Bills get too little for Stephon Diggs?
What do you mean by that? When you say too little?
So they got only a second round pick for him, considering what they had to give it up.
In return,
right?
I believe as of today that yes. I think time will tell though. He's not getting younger. Right. You know what I mean?
Now, Josh Allen has no weapons now.
Yeah,
all his receivers go.
There was some funny gifs about that too. I mean, look, when you have an aging receiver, the problem is that the depreciation on them is so huge.
Sure.
So it's like, what can we get? Probably did get too low. They probably could have gotten a lot more for that.
Yeah.
I think as of today,
lends credence to the fact that Diggs might have been turned into a bit of a locker room problem.
Well, look, this is one of those 5-6 years from now, depending on who they draft and what Diggs does, you'll know the answer to that question. Right. But I think it's really telling when they can't get more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a get out of here move.
Yeah. So, indeed. But all right. So you mentioned Chiefs and Royals. This is a big deal. That tax thing we had mentioned a few weeks ago that they were going to raise the taxes possibly in Jefferson County by about 0.375%. So about almost almost four tenths of a penny. They were going to raise the taxes, the sales tax there, and it got voted down.
Yeah, you know why? Because when you win that many Super Bowls, and let's be honest, the Royals are not crazy removed from World Series, right?
No, they won in 2015, and they're kind of competitive again this year.
Right, you don't need the money from the fans. You guys have enough money; you can do it yourselves.
Yeah.
Okay. If you were the I'm trying to think of a horrible team. I can't. I'm having a hard time thinking of a bad team. If you were a horrible team, you still have a hard time passing something like this.
No, absolutely.
You guys got plenty of money.
Yeah, no,
if you were the Dallas Cowboys, there's a lowly team right now.
They're a bad team right now, right? I was gonna say, it's
Jaguars.
But I mean, like Clark Hunt, the owner of the Chiefs, is worth $25 billion.
That's it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why he wants people to pay for that stadium. It's a little ridiculous now.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see, but it sounds like both the Royals and Chiefs might move out of Kauffman Stadium and Arrowhead, and it's going to be interesting to see where they go. But I mean, look, it wouldn't be the first time that like a team is named, after a city, and then they play somewhere completely different. So look at the Giants and the Jets. Even the Pistons for many years played even though they were in Detroit, they played in Auburn Hills, which is a suburb of Detroit, right? So it's not crazy, but Kansas City might not be playing directly in Kansas City anymore, and I'm curious to see what ends up happening with these renovations and new stadium plans for these two teams. So we will see what happens. We'll keep an eye on that, and obviously we'll give you updates, folks, as time goes on. Speaking of big changes up in Canada. Hockey may be going to Amazon Prime. We already have football, obviously, on Amazon Prime, and obviously, we mentioned earlier WWE is going to Netflix. The streaming services are trying to get more sports, and understandably so, because it's really the only thing that keeps some of us from completely cutting the cord.
Well, it's inevitable at this point. But no, listen, this is a really interesting move. So obviously Amazon has plenty of research with American football here on Amazon in the United States, so they know how to do it. Another thing, Ray, is that a lot of people in the U.S. don't realize that shipping and freight in Canada is horrendous and very expensive. I know this from having to do business in that country. It is a nightmare. All right. But Amazon, as you can imagine, is kind of becoming the choice of a lot of people out there for goods and shipping. It is a lot more affordable to buy my product on Amazon in Canada than to buy it directly from me, which is stupid.
Yeah.
All right. In this country, in America, it's actually the other way around, right?
Yeah.
You benefit my business when you buy it from my website, opposed to Amazon, because Amazon takes a cut from everything.
Right.
But shipping is so steep in Canada that Amazon is becoming a better way to get your goods than sometimes even going out. So to get something mailed. So this isn't just a brilliant move from a sports front to get people on Prime, but I think it's also a pretty smart move to get people using Amazon more for buying things.
Yeah.
Look, I always say this. You got to understand what I mean by this. There is a language barrier between the United States and Canada. They are different cultures. They are different people, right? I mean, you know what I mean by that, right?
Yes,
Canada is not the United States, and vice versa. It's a different methodology up there. It's wonderful. I mean, the people are great. Right? I have a lot of Canadian friends, and I love them. But from a capitalistic standpoint, from a government standpoint, it's not the same. And the mentality up there is very different than the mentality down here. I'm not saying one's better than the other. All right, the capitalistic mentality is a lot better when you're in business, like I am down here.
Right.
But the kindness of Canadians and their willingness to help their neighbor, I would take that any day of the week as well. All right, that doesn't exactly exist everywhere here in America. So I think it's a pretty brilliant move to get hockey on Prime, get people on Amazon, and kind of escorting that country into another digital age. Also, people have to remember, huge misconception about Canada is their population size. Yeah. There are not as many people in Canada as you think.
It's like 35 million people.
That's it. I mean,
that's 1/10 of what the U.S. is.
Right. And not to mention, that's like a few major cities, right? It is not a massive population. And some of that population lives further north, where it's not exactly populated areas.
Yeah. Most of that, that's the thing. Most of that population lives like between like near Toronto and Montreal and Ottawa, like in that area. Right. And like, the farther north you go, like you go to like Edmonton and in places like that, it's not a lot of people.
No.
It's not. So
I'm going to look at the population of Canada today. It is in the 30 millions, I believe.
I'll say 35 million plus or minus 2.
Yeah, that's at 38 million. It's about to be 39 million. No, I'm sorry. It says 38 million 2022. So it's probably 39 million. Okay. All right, but again, people, that's not a lot. That's not a lot. There's 10 million people in New York City on a daily basis. It's 4 New Yorks.
Well, I mean, even look at it as an idea of like you look at like an England, a Great Britain, United Kingdom. There's like 60 million people on that island.
It makes it's amazing. So
Italy's about 60 million people, and then you look at the size of Canada, and it's half those countries.
I know it's incredible. It's a beautiful place. But I think
this has been your social studies lesson of the day with the Geeks Who Like Sports.
Oh man, I miss social studies.
Me too. They don't teach it anymore in school. That's why nobody knows anything.
I don't want to talk about what they do and don't teach. Although I will say that they have done some of that stuff's coming back. All right, my kids are learning about community.
Oh, they finally realized that people are dumb because they don't know how things work.
Yeah.
They finally realized, good.
Well, I don't know if they realized it or not, but people were coming out of school uneducated, and I think they're starting to work up. But I will say my kids are getting a great education. I've been very happy with that. It's not politically motivated. It doesn't seem right. They're learning the things they need to do to be productive citizens. I love that when my daughter came home and my son came home in the first grade and talked about being part of a community and the importance of that. I was like, this is good. This is good. Fine.
That is good. That's the stuff they should be learning. And I feel like a generation kind of missed that.
Well, a lot of generation was raised on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, and we are the elder statesmen of that generation.
Yeah,
we're elder millennials, right? Like the oldest.
We are. Yeah, we are.
Our target audience. If you're listening to this, you're probably one of those too, or you're a late Gen Xer, one or the other.
Yeah. So, hey, don't matter who's listening, whatever generation you're part of.
Yeah.
We're great that we're
You're
happy that
not
you're
welcome
listening.
here. I just told you, if you're millennial, you're welcome here. If you're Gen Z, you're fine.
No, everybody's welcome. But
sure?
if you don't know what we think you should know, we're gonna try and teach you. We're gonna teach you.
Just like the old men did when we were kids.
Right.
Get off the lawn. All right, moving on.
Definitely get off the lawn. Never stay on the lawn. But anyway.
Yeah, so look, hockey's coming to Canada, but the big story on Action News tonight. The race is on for the playoffs. As predicted, It's a 4-way swing for the Eastern Conference right now, a wild card spot. Flyers dropped 7 games in a row, having a really hard time. Should be a very exciting finish in that division. The West is basically closed at this point. So I'm looking forward to talking about the playoff matchups in a few weeks. We'll see. Again, no prediction. I think it's going to come down to the last day of the season for a lot of these teams. Flyers are playing the Capitals the last game of the season. You bet your butt that's probably going to be a playoff game.
Yeah, I mean, it is a really good chance that. I mean, Detroit and Washington are playing tonight, actually. That's also, I mean, real quick, folks, the Islanders have 85 points. Detroit, Pittsburgh have 84, and Washington and Philly have 83.
Yeah, anyone can win.
Two spots left for 5, two spots left for 5 teams.
I'm sorry, you are correct. Yes, it's the Metropolitan third and the second wild card.
And the second wild card.
Because Tampa is kind of locked in.
Tampa has locked up the first wild.
I had to think about that for a minute. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Because that is the one thing that helps Pittsburgh and Philly, though, is that what helps the Islanders, Pittsburgh, and Philly is that they can one of them can still get that third spot in the Metro.
Someone's going to be left out horribly.
Yes.
So
I'm just amazed that Pittsburgh has gone on this run to get. I thought Pittsburgh was dead and gone.
We all did. Yeah, they did. Never doubt Sidney Crosby, man.
I guess so. He really wants to get in. The Devils have basically all been eliminated. Yeah. I mean, they would basically need all those teams we mentioned to lose out, and they'd have to win out. So
Devils always remember the season that you put a park in a New Jersey stadium. Way to go.
Unbelievable.
Schmucks.
Yeah. Lee, I'm gonna be honest. I'm going to make a prediction right now.
For what?
I'm going to say that the Flyers are going to get the third in the Metro.
That's a bold prediction. The way they're
two back, and they're only 2 points back in the Islanders. And I'm going to say that
it's the games at hand is what I look at, Ray. That's the problem.
That's true. Well, the thing is that at this point, the Islanders only have 1 game in hand, and I'm going to say Detroit's going to get the wild card. Detroit right now has the second wild card, but I don't think they're going to hold on. Detroit.
Right. It's really hard to predict this. Because if one team gets hot, they're in. It's just
absolutely.
It's so hard.
If somebody wins their last 5, that's going to be the team that gets.
I can tell you what I hope doesn't happen is that in the last game of the season, Ovechkin gets an empty net goal to bring his goal total higher against the Flyers to eliminate us from the playoffs. That would be a bit much.
Yeah, that would be a bit much. But I'm going to make the prediction for you. I think your Flyers are going to find a way.
I think if they get in, they'll be in that final spot. But look, here's the thing too. I'm okay with them. I'm okay with this season. Like it'll be disappointing not to make the playoffs. They've made such big strides this season. They are clearly a team. I said at the beginning of the season, Ray, when we had our predictions, I said they will flirt with a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Guess what they're doing?
They're
flirting with a playoff spot. Okay. I do not understand if anybody had higher predictions than that. All right. They are not a cup team yet. They are definitely building that direction. If you want to look at cup teams, you look at the New York Rangers or the Boston Bruins right now. Those are the teams that, without a doubt, should be there at the end. All right.
And real quick, depending on the results tonight, the Rangers, Bruins, and Stars could all clinch the divisions tonight.
Right.
So,
and I hope the Rangers do because they are a strong, strong team.
Me
in the West,
too.
I have very little faith in Vancouver and Winnipeg to go beyond the second round.
Agreed.
I think the Colorado Avalanche are the team to beat in the West, and obviously you can't count out Vegas. People are gonna yell at me about Florida. I don't know. I'm not sold on them yet as a cup team.
Yeah, and to your point, the West,
Carolina too.
If the Blues lose like one more game, that basically locks up who's in. It's just a matter of seeding in the West.
Right.
So technically, Minnesota's not mathematically eliminated, but Minnesota would need Vegas and St. Louis to both lose out, and they would have to win out. So to me, Minnesota is eliminated. So
Minnesota's not making the playoffs.
Yeah, no. So I just want to say technically mathematically, but they're pretty much done. Quickly jumping over to the NBA, the Knicks continue to go up and down, but a big win against the Bucks, I believe yesterday, catapults them back into the 4 seed, which of course, obviously in the NBA now with the weird play-in tournament, It's just a matter of being in the top 6. Stay in the top 6. You don't have to be in the play-in tournament. Not have to worry about it. But the Knicks now actually tied with the Magic for 3rd, and because they beat the Bucks 1 game back of Milwaukee for the 2 seed. But there's a log jam in the East from 2 to 8 is only separated by 4 games. That's it in the East in the NBA. The 8 right now is the Heat. The 7 is the Sixers. The 6 is the Pacers. The Cavs, Magic, and Knicks are all virtually tied for the 3 seed. And then the Bucks are a little bit higher at the 2. But it's only 4 games out, 4 games separating those 6 teams. That's rare parity in the NBA.
Well, bottom parity.
Yeah, that's fair. Because let's be honest, Boston,
the Nuggets are there. I mean, Boston's
going to probably win it all. And
it's a reason to watch outside the midseason tournament. How about that?
Right? Yeah. And the East and the top of the Western Conference, is kind of a logjam. The Wolves, Nuggets, and Thunder, the top 3 teams, are all within a game of each other.
Yeah, and that's who's going to be there at the end. It's the one thing about basketball I have a hard time with.
Yeah,
well,
no, I know. I am. We talk about this. I am not a fan of the 7 through 10 team tournament to get into the last 2 playoff spots.
It's a cash grab, and look. There's sometimes I like expanding playoffs. There are times I like that baseball did that.
Yeah, finally going to the 1990 football format.
Yeah. Like again, some people don't. Some people say like you play to get in, and the thing is, look, everybody loves the team that has the chance, and the opportunity. But like when you're giving 4 teams a chance to be the last team, that's a cash grab. Yeah, becoming an 8th seed or a wild card, I like that. This is like the wild card for the wild card. It's too much. Yeah. Anyway, it's all. Are we ready to move to the geek segment?
We are gonna slide and maybe surf our way into the geek section.
Oh, well then, for those of you watching, enjoy this clip. Yeah, Ray, that was special. I had fun making that one. I did.
I am sure it was fantastic.
Oh, it was. The people actually. If you are listening to this, we'll share this on our social media just so you can enjoy it. But I took a lot of pride in that one.
Yes, there we go. So, so this is a fun one. We are starting to get more news about the Fantastic Four film for Marvel, and Julia Garner, who folks may know from the show Ozark, has been cast as the Silver Surfer. And of course, the internet had an aneurysm
for no reason.
Yeah, they had an aneurysm because they're like, it's a girl. First off, there have been several female Silver Surfers. I think it was, what's her name? Juno was maybe one of them. But the one that she's specifically playing, Shala Bal, who of course was the lover of Norrin Rad, the original and most infamously known Silver Surfer. In an alternate universe, it is her who becomes the Silver Surfer. This is not a foreign idea to the comics, folks, that there's a lady Silver Surfer.
It's also probably because this Fantastic Four is in an alternate universe.
Possibly.
Right.
Definitely.
I think that's very likely.
It's completely
the
possible.
Other thing, Ray, is this is going to shock a lot of people, all right? And this is kind of a hot take. The Silver Surfer is not real or human. So what's the problem? This is like when the Little Mermaid thing came out. It's like it's a mermaid.
Yeah.
It's not real. There's no rules here, okay?
Yeah. I think it's ridiculous. I am for one.
It's just like, oh my God. We have all this great talk about Caitlin Clark, women's sports, South Carolina, but you can't have a female Silver Surfer. What are you thinking? Yeah. Unbelievable. What are they going to do next? They make a potato play Superman, Ray? You can't have Spuds playing soups. You can't do it. There could be Spuds in a soup, but you can't have Spuds play soups.
Yeah.
What's going to happen next? They're going to let a hound be the Batman and call him Bat Hound? I mean, you can't do that, Ray.
That happened.
Well, you're going to have a dog that's like Superman, even Crypto, if you will. You can't do that, Ray.
Yeah, you did that.
Ray, you're taking my points.
They did that.
Throwing them back in my face, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Because that was the intent. You schmucks.
Yeah, this isn't that big a deal, folks.
It's
honestly.
Not. And there's canon with it.
Yeah.
And it's
and that's the thing.
I'm making that call right now. This is an alternate universe Fantastic Four coming into the MCU.
If there's anything we've learned over the years, is to wait and see. Now, look, if she gives a terrible performance, if the character is poorly written,
it's going to be tough to do because the Silver Surfer's pretty monotone,
pretty one note. Yeah, but maybe it's badly written. Like if the script is bad, the script is bad. But that's not on Julia Gardner.
Ray. Here's the thing. Let's just take this gender thing out of it because it's so ridiculous. The bigger thing is two parts here. One is that I do believe this is an alternate universe, and I do believe that the after credit scene from the Marvels is bigger than anyone realizes. Yep. I think there was a massive after credit scene that's introducing us to multiple realities, and I would not be surprised if this Fantastic Four exists in that reality, and they're going to bring them along with the X-Men over to the MCU. Yeah. Okay, but the bigger thing that no one's talking about is who typically accompanies the Silver Surfer.
Galactus.
So you've just introduced the new baddie, and no one's talking about it.
Yeah.
That's how they're going to replace Kang, obviously.
Yep. Well, it's also how you introduce Doctor Doom. It's
right there.
It writes itself.
I know, but we're focused. Ray, you can't have a celestial being that's not from Earth, where who knows if gender even exists, be a woman. It sounds stupid just saying it. You schmucks. Let it go.
By the way, speaking of Kang, Jonathan Majors was sentenced yesterday.
Oh, what did he get?
Well, he only got a year probation, no jail time.
Oh, well, enjoying his mansion.
Well, because he's a celebrity, and that's what happens.
Yeah, well, I don't know if we can, double-decker bus more on the week there.
Yeah. So,
anyway, Julia Garner, wishing you the best. Silver Surfer, not unprecedented to have a female Silver Surfer. You schmucks. Guys, listen. You don't even have to use Google anymore. You can go to an Alexa. Just speak into thin air. Has there ever been a female Silver Surfer? Let's try Siri.
Alexa, Siri. Yeah,
Siri. Has there ever been a female Silver Surfer?
I'm gonna vamp for time.
Oh,
Siri.
yes. First thing, yes, there has.
Look at that. There it is, almost instantaneously.
Yeah, it didn't speak because I have it on mute, but yes,
makes sense because we're on the air.
Yeah. Shala Ball. It's right there,
which is who she's playing.
Ray, I just want to read for our audience. You live in a time you can ask the thin air a question, and it answers you.
Yeah.
When we were little, that was a thing. Remember, like computer, blah 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 blah. We're living in the future, Ray.
Yep.
And no one respects it. But God damn it, don't look at the sun, people. You can't stare directly into the sun. All right.
People refuse to Google and refuse to talk to their AI and their companion, and they're like, "I'm going to look at the sun instead."
The sun. Ray, I guess if you blind yourself, you could just ask Alexa questions.
Lee, we have the totality of human knowledge at our fingertips at any given moment, and we are dumber than we have ever been.
Well, you know what I think about as a parent, Ray? So I was sitting down with Logan and Alina, my kids, the other day, and Logan was having some problems with his homework, and I do want him to do the work, but I did say he kept asking me questions about it was a history question, not a math question. Math, I won't let him use the Alexa because they have to learn how to do the math.
Sure,
but I did say to him, he was asking me all this stuff. I said, Logan, you want to know what's amazing about you and technology today that I didn't have when I was a kid? I'm at that point in my parenting where I'm saying, you know what I didn't have when I was a kid? It actually makes you feel really weird because your parents said that to you and you realize that they had better technology than their parents. But anyway, so I asked Alexa a question and it gave me the answer. And then I had this thought, Ray, of like, okay, so now we do live in a time where you can, for very affordably, by the way, ask the thin air a question. So what does 25 years from now look like? And what it is a robot's going to be walking around your house. Like, oh, hello, sir. What can I do for you? I am C-3PO, Human Cyber Relations. And you know that everyone's going to name the robot C-3PO, Human Cyber Relations. That's what I wouldn't do. And it's going to be able to do things for you. And then I'm going to be calling my kids like, Logan, the robot won't make my damn dinner. And all I wanted was chicken cacciatore with a side of spice. And it's not giving me the chicken cacciatore. What do you mean you looked in the sun? That's those conversations. Listen, you know what? Ray, 30 years ago, or just under 25 years ago, we were playing Sega Genesis. We were playing Super Nintendo. And there was this villain that almost didn't age well, but did, named Mojo. And he lived in Mojo World, and everything was an entertainment video game world.
Yeah.
And X-Men 97 somehow in 2024 pulled off Mojo so well.
Yeah.
And you could not enjoy this guy. I mean, they nailed him.
Yeah.
Right. X-Men 97, I think, is the best Marvel show outside of Loki that I've seen.
I agree.
It is so well done.
Yeah. Yeah, so this week's episode, folks, for X-Men 97 was Motendo / Life Death Part 1. And a lot to unpack in this one.
Both of them,
Another 30-minute episode. And yeah, it's Jubilee's 18th birthday, and her and Sunspot are, again, he's not called that because he looked into the sun.
It only took 25 years for her to hit that birthday. But that's
I know.
That's pretty funny.
Technically, though, it's 97, so it only took a couple of years. So, and she's gifted what looks like a Super Nintendo with a Days of what's it? Mutant Apocalypse. X-Men Mutant Apocalypse cartridge in it.
For those of you who don't know, that was obviously based off of an old Sega Genesis X-Men game that Ray just referenced. So that was pretty cool to see as well.
Yeah, and she gets sucked into the game because our old friend Mojo from Mojo World, which, as Lee mentioned, he is a villain who feeds on ratings. And so takes beings from
That's really what he is.
That's from all over the universe. He puts them in reality TV shows, and he's like, reality TV just isn't doing it for people anymore. It's just mindless entertainment. So the next thing we're going to do, video games, which makes perfect sense.
And then the Easter eggs in those video games was insane. And again, Ray, you know this. In my office, I have an X-Men arcade machine here, and they referenced that in there. I felt pretty good about myself.
They referenced that. They referenced Days of Future Past. They reference all kinds of stuff within this. And basically, Jubilee gets sucked into her own video game based around the X-Men. Sunspot kind of gets stuck there, really continuing to refuse to use his powers, so he's kind of dead weight.
He was, but that's building towards something.
It's got to be. And, and Jubilee fights her way through. And this was actually a really deep cut. This is a character that appeared once in, I think, or maybe twice, maybe one or two issues in all of the X-Men lore. And her name's Abscissa. And she's basically an alternate version, future Jubilee. And it's basically the idea that, like, she was like a beta tester for Mojo. And she's there and she helps free Jubilee and kind of also reminds her, it's like, hey, video games are great, but so is living your life. Right. And you get a real good Saturday morning, like, hurrah moment. And then, but also finally being like, and hey, your powers are still developing. And finally like, oh, look, Jubilee doing something cool with her powers for once.
Yeah, well, and that was a cool part of it is that, this character has some developing to do. Because again, for those of you who don't know, Jubilee kind of shoots fireworks out of her hands, and that the idea is that that's just going to evolve into a much stronger power, much more important power. Jubilee getting created for the X-Men TV series. I think a lot of people forget that, right? She was not a comic book character prior to the X-Men animated series coming out on Fox, right? It was based around her. So another little deep cut, Ray, was the voice actor for Obsidian. I can't say her name. Abscissa. How do you say her name? Say it again.
Abscissa. And I want to correct you there. Technically, Jubilee did appear in the comics before the X-Men cartoon.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did.
No, she didn't. I said it, and my word is law. So anyway, the voice actor for her
Uncanny X-Men number 244.
Well, when did that come out?
1989.
That's what I said. Jubilee debuted in 1989, and then they made the cartoon about her. Let's just say she didn't become a major character again until.
No, yes, she was. She became a major character because of the cartoon. She was far more a background secondary character, but I wanted to just put that out there.
Of course, you nerd geek. Anyway, listen, I trust you on that 100%. The voice actress for her was the original voice actress for Jubilee in the original show, the older Jubilee, which I thought was a really nice nod. But that was really good, and I just loved Mojo. It was so like it was moving, right? Yeah. And we even got a view of Mojo World in there, which was great too. They didn't even explain it. They're just like, it's Mojo World.
Yeah. Well, he even kind of says he's like he called them his indentured audience.
Yeah, that was really funny.
Which was great. So they did a great job with it. Great job bringing back a like you said, a classic character who probably not has aged as well as folks would have hoped, and modernizing him in a way that's a lot of fun. Yeah. And continues to
only do it in 1997. Love it.
Yeah. So can we go? But the back half of this episode, this is a major storyline in X-Men comics. It's called Life Death, and it is just like what they're doing. It is Storm's attempt to get her powers back.
Right, and to a detail. Like
Yeah.
this was drawn or animated the same way the comic book is, basically.
I mean, yeah, they almost took it like panel for panel, and like she
Right.
starts a romantic relationship with Forge,
Forge.
and then basically what ends up happening is something from Forge's past comes back to haunt him. Basically, for those who don't know, Forge was a Vietnam War veteran.
Mm-hmm.
He's the only person who kind of survived his platoon, and he kind of did something. He did it kind of triggered his mutant powers coming about, allowing him to like late teens to build whatever he could think of. But he also called on his shaman backgrounds as a Native American heritage, and he called forth a demon called the Adversary, who would help him escape Vietnam, but would also continue to haunt him for much of his life. And although there is a point where he banishes the Adversary in the comics, and as happens, once you let go a demon, the demon's going to find a way back out. And that's basically what happens, is that finding Storm's considerable pain and constantly kind of always stalking Forge, the Adversary once again returns and is here to basically feed on the misery of Forge and Storm. And it's going to take the X-Men to come and save her. But in the process, spoiler alert, she's going to get her powers back.
Well, yeah, of course. And a lot of nice little Easter eggs, the X Factor in this. It makes me wonder, too, if there's going to be a tie-in of a Deadpool situation here. I know Deadpool's X-Force, but they all work very closely together.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how close to the comics they take this. My gut is they're going to follow it to a T.
I mean, they have so far.
Yeah,
so.
but we'll see. We'll see. This is turning out to be some of the best storytelling Marvel's done in years.
Yeah.
It also reiterates how fantastic the X-Men are.
Yeah.
Right. It makes me wonder, dude, are they going to look at Spider-Man? Is Spider-Man going to have a cameo in this? I wouldn't be surprised if Spider-Man shows up at some point. And all the night is, the big Marvel shows from that time are Spider-Man and X-Men.
Yeah.
Right. And you could totally bring Spider-Man 97 back if you wanted to.
Yeah. They're talking about it now.
Yeah.
They're talking about bringing it back and bringing back the original voice cast and all that.
Right. Maybe they should bring him back and destroy the current Madam Web.
That they should definitely.
And they could save everything.
They could save it all. Do that. Absolutely. And I also do want to say it's also a testament to Chris Claremont as being the main X-Men writer for over a decade.
Yeah.
These are all his stories from the 80s.
Well, I think, Ray, for the audience, we're living in a time now where superhero team-ups are pretty normal. Everyone knows the MCU. Everybody knows the DCU, to be fair. But the X-Men was always a darker story. It always resonated with people. And it spoke about social issues without directly speaking about social issues. The other comic books have not always done that.
Yeah.
Right? It's always good and evil kind of thing, right? And it might be hard for people to remember, but the X-Men far more popular than the Avengers for many, many years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? The Avengers now are popular, but when we were growing up, we read X-Men, right? Avengers were fun, but you read X-Men because it was serious. It was real.
Yes.
Right? And it still is. And this cartoon has really picked up with those themes. Obviously the themes of bigotry and hatred towards people that are not like you always resonates. It's also why Spider-Man works so well.
Yeah.
Right? Because Spider-Man's like the everyman, right? The every kid. It was teased and now he wants to be something bigger than himself. So just really fun that, we always say Hollywood has no new ideas. And that's true. But when you can take an old idea and make it new and make it like advance and develop the story, it's really special.
Yeah. And again, it all goes back to the early days of Stan Lee.
Yeah.
It was him wanting to use comics
Excelsior
to tackle social issues in a way that was less heavy-handed, but still just as poignant.
Right.
In the times,
So before we finish, Ray, I do want to let the audience know something we're going to tackle in the mashup this week. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, might be leaving. The final boss might be leaving the WWE for a bit. He's not leaving our show. This week on the mashup, we're going to go over which of The Rock's film characters would win in a Royal Rumble against each other. I have them printed out. It's actually a lot harder than you think. But this week's mashup, you're going to want to listen to that. See who Ray and I pick as the Royal Rumble winner to get a chance at the WrestleMania title against whoever.
Yeah.
All right. A lot harder than you think. So make sure you tune into that.
Yes, that is coming up later this week. So, but yeah, moving into our last.
I'm Ray. Thanks for watching.
No, we got one more story.
No.
This broke actually this morning.
Oh, we do have one more story. It's a topic that I love.
Yes. Star Wars.
Star Wars. Okay.
Yes.
Guys, listen to the mashup. But for Lee, I'm Ray.
No.
Here's a Star Wars story.
No, that's Lee. I'm Ray, and this is going to be a
Star
Star Wars story.
Look at the sun real quick.
No, yeah. Big news. We've been talking about this since it was announced last June. Ubisoft and their Star Wars game, Star Wars Outlaws, taking place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
The greatest time in Star Wars history.
Very Shadows of the Empire-ish in some ways.
No Shizor, though. I don't know why they can't put Shizor in these darn stories.
I don't know either.
For those who don't know, Shizor is the main antagonist of Shadows of the Empire. Antagonist, protagonist.
He's an antagonist.
He's bad. Antagonist, bad. Yeah, Shizor is one of the greatest villains in Star Wars history. That's never been on screen.
He was in the book. He was in the book, and he was a big part of the video game.
It really was. Yeah, and again, I can't even say that about Grand Admiral Thrawn because now he's on TV.
Yeah.
Shizor is the only one left. And they have shown the Shi'ar. Geez, that's X-Men. They have shown his people before in the shows, but not him. So anyway, Star Wars Outlaws, open world Star Wars game, looks fantastic. I mean, the story looks great.
2.5-minute story trailer was dropped today, including an August 30th release date. First real big locked-in release date of the holiday push. Which is a big deal. It's
going to be really hard with the teams I work with when I retire from coaching to play this game, but it'll be worth it.
It's definitely. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. Obviously, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC. It's from Ubisoft, and it follows the new outlaw scoundrel Kay Vess as she's trying to buy her freedom because, as a lot of outlaws and scoundrels do, they kind of run roughshod and run the wrong way against some of the underworld and underbelly of Star Wars. And we're gonna get some new organizations, it looks like. We're also gonna get some classics like the Black Sun. Obviously the Hutts are in it. We saw Jabba in today's trailer. We saw Han frozen in carbonite. We also saw, obviously, the Empire is gonna be a big part there. We saw like ATSTs on the march. So getting just a very brief glimpse, but it looks like Kay is putting together a crew for a heist, kind of a Ocean's 11-y Star Wars vibe. And she's got to buy her, but she's trying to earn her freedom, buy her freedom. So I am excited, loving Star Wars, honestly, to me, Star Wars in video games right now is the best, aside from probably Shadows of the Empire, but it's the best it's ever been. It's really excited about this trailer. This was a fun announcement today in the middle of April. Nothing really else going on, and Star Wars just like, trailer, here you go.
We're here.
So,
so next week you have homework for Star Wars, Ray. I did my part. You got to do your part.
I know.
I'm looking forward to it. Like that 5-year time period between Empire and Return of the Jedi is a really amazing time in Star Wars. I did just look up. Shadows of the Empire is apparently not canon anymore.
It's not. It's Legends now. Yeah.
Well, I hope they continue to do what they do and unlock all the legends and make them canon again, because that's basically what they're doing over at Star Wars right now.
With Thrawn,
Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, look, Star Wars has been going the right direction now for a couple of years. After that major disappointment, I'm interested to see what they're doing with Daisy Ridley in this next film that they're doing. If they're going to somehow right a ship there, but we'll see. I may even gander at watching the sequels, but I don't know yet. You know what is coming back to the theaters, Ray? I want to say this: Phantom Menace. All those films are coming back for their anniversaries. So I'm going to take my kids to see the Phantom Menace in the theater, which has aged wonderfully. I'm wondering if it's going to be like a special edition though. If they've updated any of the animation or just the original theatrical release.
That is, I am curious. Yeah, I will be interested to see what they do there.
I remember I was telling Logan, like, oh yeah, they did this when I was a kid 30 years ago. It was a long time ago when they re-released A New Hope, and then they started doing the other ones, and that's really what sparked Star Wars coming back to life. Back in the mid to late 90s, I believe. It was like 1996, 97 they started doing that.
I want to say 97 they did.
I remember going. I'd never seen Star Wars in the theater before. It was special. So I'm going to get to do that again.
Yep. Should be a good time for you guys.
For Lee, I'm Ray. Don't look at the sun, everybody.
Those are good. That is good advice. Do not look at the sun.
What have we learned here today? One,
the sun.
The Silver Surfer did have a female Silver Surfer. And two, don't look into the sun directly.
Yeah.
Ever.
So, and Ghostbusters is great.
Ghostbusters is great. Ready to do a little Slimer thing? I did that pretty well. That's how he does. He slimed me, right?
That's great.
Actual physical contact.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. All right, so that's Lee. I'm Ray. Here's your mucus. Yes, we will see you all next week. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. As always, don't forget, follow, like, share, subscribe, all that other fun stuff. Again, that is Lee. I am Ray. Stay tuned for the mashup later this week, folks. And we are the Geeks Who Like Sports. Good night, everybody.